people conflate free markets and capitalism. We do not conflate free markets and capitalism. These are two completely different things. Now, they're not completely different. They're related but different. And in a capitalist society, once capitalists get in bed with government, you end up with crony capitalism. And I think that's what people truly despise. And as luck would have it, I also truly despise it, and I'm guessing you do too.
Oh, yeah. In fact, you don't just get it with capitalism. You get cronyism with socialism also. The problem is the cronyism.
That's correct. But I think the cronyism is literally woven into socialism. It can't be explicated. I was going to say you can't have socialism without cronyism. Yeah, but you can have free markets. We just consistently decide not to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And what do I mean by this? I mean, everybody goes on and on and on about how we have market failures in healthcare because it's so damn expensive. There's no market failure in healthcare. That's government failure. It's one of, if not the most regulated market in the United States. What are the other regulated markets in the United States? Education, sky-high costs. Housing, sky-high costs. Take your pick. Wherever you see over-regulated markets, you see spiking costs. And then people blame capitalism.
And it's hard to do a what if. You and I can imagine what the healthcare market would look like if the government weren't involved. But that's because we've been looking at this for a long time. However, in the case of healthcare, there are some examples we can kind of point to.
I point to the same two every time.
Yeah. One is LASIK surgery and, cosmetic surgery in general. These are surgeries that largely aren't covered by insurance.
Yep.
And so consequently, you have a market without the insurance involved. You don't have the government involved nearly as much. And so you have much more of a free market. And the prices of those things have either remained steady or actually come down over time, but certainly not gone up nearly as much as healthcare in general.
Yeah,
and you've got the other example.
LASIK surgery is almost free compared to what it once was.
Right.
I mean, this was a remarkably expensive procedure that people paid out of pocket. I think last time I checked, it was under $1,000.
Yep.
And, look, I haven't checked it religiously, so correct me if I'm wrong out there in the comments, but it's just not expensive. If you really want LASIK surgery, you can go get it. The other, for my money, is veterinary care.
Yes, right.
Right? I mean,
and again, no insurance.
Well, you can buy insurance if you want, but it's not mandatory.
Right.
And if you want insurance on a pet, it doesn't cost that much. I have a dog who I absolutely adore. We don't have dog care insurance. When there's a problem, we go to the vet, we pay $65, and then we go home. And I can choose. It's easier for me to find a vet than it is for me to find a primary care physician.
Right.
Not only easier, and a lot easier.
And these aren't exactly the same product, but they're in the same universe.
They're in the neighborhood. Yeah, they're in
one's
the neighborhood.
Government regulated, one's not. The government regulated price goes through the roof. The other one doesn't. Now, let me back off a minute because you and I both used a term that we should probably put some flesh on. That's cronyism.
Yeah, sure.
Cronyism is a situation when you've got people who stand to benefit from government intervention, actively going to the government and encouraging the government to intervene.
It's essentially the buying of influence.
It's a buying of influence. A good case in point.
You and I have been having a Twitter disagreement with a gentleman who just can't fucking understand a damn thing. And I'm right. This is a stupid person. But he starts with a kernel of truth. And that's always where this sort of thing becomes dangerous. And we're going on with him about Robert F. Kennedy and vaccines and all of this nonsense. And he keeps saying, yeah, but the vaccine makers, they want to keep you sick, so you keep buying more vaccines. Now, that's idiotic. That's just idiotic. That's not how vaccines work. But he also says things like, and how did these big pharmaceutical companies get so much influence in the first place? And there he's got an honest question, right? That is a very good question to ask. How did they get this kind of influence? How did any industry or participant in any industry get this kind of influence ever? And the answer is always the same. They buy a seat at the table, and they buy it with campaign funding.
Yeah, and I think it's even more insidious than that. Once you get the government regulating your industry, then the government, the regulators, are not industry experts. They're politicians and bureaucrats. So They will turn to experts for the experts' advice in writing the regulation. And who do they turn to? The people who are being regulated. Those are the ones who have the expert opinions.
They turn to their lobbyists, because their lobbyists synthesize the expert opinion on the one hand and the political know-how on the other.
Mm-hmm. For example, in the case of minimum wage, Walmart lobbying the federal government to increase the minimum wage.
That's right.
Now,
in favor of, and people never, ever stop to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, think it through. If Walmart wanted to pay its workers more, it just pays its workers more.
Go ahead and pay them more.
Why does it need the government involved?
The answer is so obvious. It's so obvious that people can't even see it. And the obvious answer is that Walmart wants to cripple its competition, mom and pop stores who can't afford to pay more in minimum wage.
Yeah, Walmart was already, well, this case goes back to when we had the minimum wage, national minimum wage, predominantly at $7.25 an hour. At that time, Walmart was paying more than the minimum wage. So to raise the minimum wage it would not have cost Walmart a penny, but would have put a bunch of its lower cost competitors out of business.
Yeah. Ain't that something?
Now let me go back to the insurance case, because part of the reason insurance was so expensive leading up to the Affordable Care Act was because the government made it very difficult for health insurance companies to operate across state lines. Why was that so? The insurance companies themselves argued for legislation that would make it difficult for them to operate across state lines. Why? Because it would set up little fiefdoms, little local monopolies.
It's not that they didn't want to operate across state lines. It's that they didn't want anybody else to operate across state lines, right?
Yes.
And this is always the answer, but at the risk of beating the same dead horse for another half hour.
But this is cronyism.
Yeah, it's absolutely cronyism. And I think that's what people have in mind when they say they hate capitalism.
Yeah, and I'm with people 100%, but just be careful. It's not a feature of capitalism. It's a feature of humans. And you'll get it in socialism as readily as you will in capitalism.
And this is why Ant and I almost never speak in glowing terms about capitalism, because it confuses things. We talk in glowing terms about free markets, right? And the freer the better.
Words and Numbers is a CiVL original podcast. We work with CiVL to advance their mission of upgrading civilization by exploring ideas that promote civic equality and cooperation. We believe the most pressing issues humans face, war, poverty, debt, tribalism, arise from coercive institutions that bring out the worst in us. We at CiVL look to voluntary solutions to these and other problems. We invite you to explore CiVL's new platform at civil.com. That's CiVL.com.